Hi, Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. It's Cody. I just wanted to let you know that we're all good to go at when you would like.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Hewlett. Just checking my dashboard here, and I see we are short member Townsend and member Hamilton. Does that match up with what you're looking at?
Yes, Member Townsend sends her regrets. Member Hamilton sends her regrets. Member Townsend just is in the waiting room, so he is just joining now.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, we do have quorum, so, and you said that, I'm sorry, I apologize. Member Hamilton's regrets?
Yes, Member Hamilton is regrets, and Member Townsend is just getting logged in now.
Okay, well, thank you. Then I guess we'll get going here. This is Tom Hutchinson, Deputy Mayor and Chair of the Committee of Adjustments. I'm going to go to item number 1. We're going to call the meeting to order. This is the November the 10th, 2020 Committee of Adjustments meeting. We do have quorum as indicated by the committee members login. We're using audio only to conduct this meeting. Video is not possible at this time due to the limited bandwidth in some areas of West Grey. Bandwidth is challenging our ability to do a complete video broadcast, so today we're using audio. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the West Grey website at www.westgrey.com. The technology for this meeting is being managed by the West Grey staff. Please refrain from clicking buttons throughout the meeting unless prompted. Before we continue, before we continue, I'm asking Supervisor Cody Hewlett to provide an overview of some of the other key points for this meeting. Supervisor Hewlett.
Thank you. Before I begin, if you get disconnected at any time from this meeting, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the meeting ID 856-5215-4785. Both members of committee and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be using the raise their hand function to speak. Members of committee will be using the green check mark to vote in favor of motion and a red X to vote against. Each member of committee will then be called upon verbally to confirm their vote for the benefit of any guests who have called in rather than joining us on the online meeting software. If you have any technical issues throughout the meeting, you can send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor, and I will attempt to assist you. As well, I also wanted to make comment that there is a public registry for this meeting. Anyone wishing to be added to the public registry for this meeting can do so by providing their name and mailing address to myself via email or voicemail by calling the office at extension 240. Members added to the registry will be notified of the decision by mail. Anyone wishing to be notified must register. Simply attending or speaking during this meeting is not sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you for the update, Supervisor Hewlett. That takes us to item number 2 on the agenda, the purpose of the meeting. I'm going to refer to Clerk Sharback. Please provide your comments.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The purpose of this meeting is to allow the presentation of applications for minor variances and applications for consents to sever, and to allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or offer comments with regard to the applications. There is a public registry for each application located online with Recreation Supervisor Hewlett, and if any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the decision on the application, they are to provide their name and mailing address to Mr. Hewlett via email or telephone for the registry. This will also entitle one to be advised of a possible local planning appeal tribunal hearing in the event the decision on the application is appealed. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Herger, you have a question?
I do. I was curious, Mr. Tim Kramer has written in on an application, and I just wanted to make sure that his information would be placed on the public registry. Seeking clarification from the clerk.
Clerk Sharback.
Yes, through you, Chair. Thank you, Member Hergert. Mr. Kramer's comments have been received. They are included in the package and are certainly part of that public record, yes. So
Wonderful.
The public registry would be a list of names of anybody else who would like notified. of any decision.
Thank you, Clerk Scharback.
Thanks.
Anything further, Member Hergert?
Not at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're on item number 3 now, and that is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Members of the committee, are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general or nature thereof? Member Hutchinson?
Yeah, Councilor Hutchison here. Yeah, I have a conflict of interest on B09 and B10 of the this package, having to do with Can Do Homes, and I guess it's DJ Development is also involved there. Due to my daughter having a house built by Can Do Homes, so I won't be participating at that time. And I have the letter, my written response is available. The clerk has that, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hutchinson. Clerk Scharback, how are we going to handle that when we get to those 2 items? Well, can you just, for my own clarification, how we'll handle that, please?
Yes, you, Chair. I think when we get to those items, Member Hutchinson will not take part in the discussion or the decision in any way. So there'll be no comments from him and no vote from him. And we will note that in the minutes that that Member Hutchinson had declared a conflict to this item and did not take part. So I believe there's 2 items on there, 8 and 9.
9 and 10.
9 and 10, yes.
Yes.
So we'll definitely note that in the minutes at the time. And I will confirm that, yes, I have received in writing the declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Oh, it's, yeah, 7 and 8, whichever items, when we get there, we'll definitely note that he's not taking part.
Yeah, they're B09 2020 and B10 2020. But thank you for the clarification and for me to understand how we're going to do that. Thank you. Okay, that takes us, Councilor Member Hutchinson, go ahead.
Sorry, just to further that, yeah, I won't be taking part in discussions, but I believe it's okay for me to listen in since I won't be participating, or you won't be able to see my face, but I may just listen in if that's okay.
I'm going to refer to the clerk for direction on that one.
Through you, Chair, absolutely, that's okay. The same as any member of the public may also sit in and observe that portion of the meeting. Member Hutchinson would be simply observing the proceedings and not taking part. So that's absolutely appropriate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything further, Member Hutchinson?
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that takes us to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes. We're going to be looking for the approval of the minutes from the October 27, 2020 meeting. Be looking for a mover on those. Member Hergert, are you moving those minutes?
Councillor Hergert, yes.
And
Member-
member, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Member Hergert, I guess, yes.
Thank you. And Member Townsend, are you seconding those minutes?
Member Townsend, yes, I'm seconding the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or comments at this time on the minutes from any of the members? Okay, seeing none, I don't see anybody on there. Okay, so we're going to call the question. All those in favor, please indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X, please. Okay, I'll start as chair. I, Member Tom Hutchinson, am in favor of this motion. Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Hutchison, in favor.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Hergert, please state your name and how you're voting.
Vice Chair Hergert, yes.
You and Member Townsend, please state your name and how you were voting.
Member Townsend in favor.
Thank you. Motion carried. Members of the committee, if you please clear your dashboards. Thank you. That takes us to item number 5, minor variance number A04-2020, Murray-941 Carolyn Street in Ayton. 5.1 is the minor variance A04-2020 Murray. So we're going to go to item number 5.2, and that'll be to Planner Spencer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the subject lands related to application A04-2020 for Murray Elizabeth. The lands are located on the northwest corner of Albert and Caroline Street in the settlement area of Ayton. The property is municipally known as 941 Carolyn Street and legally known as Lot 9, Plan 153 in the geographic township of Normanview. The applicant has requested relief from the provisions of section 2.8.24 to permit a reduced side yard setback of 0.457 meters in order to permit the construction of an accessory structure along the northern interior side yard. In accordance with legislation, the 4 tests of minor variance were reviewed and staff recommends that the application be approved. The recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment receive the report from Planner Spencer, A04-2020, Murray Elizabeth. The planner recommends that Committee of Adjustment approves the application as the proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The general intent and purpose of the municipality's zoning bylaw is minor in nature and appropriate for the development of the subject lands. Comments were received from the County of Grey Planning and Development Department, who have no concerns with the application. In addition, comments were also received from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. Sorry, excuse me, only from the County of Grey Planning and Development Department at this time. Thank you and nothing further.
Thank you very much. Takes us to item 5.4, verbal comments. We're going to start with the committee members. Members of the committee, are there any questions or comments on this application? Okay, I see Member Townsend, go ahead.
Thank you, as Member Townsend. I just wanted to comment, the report also noted that approving this minor variance will actually resolve an encroachment of a previous building that would have been there if the garage was built on the same foundation. And so from my perspective, it makes perfect sense to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Hergert, go ahead, please.
I have a question for our planner, if I could. Would this require any rezoning? I saw your comment saying that it's legal non-conforming, but if it is zoned institutional and it's going to be used for a residential purpose, is there any need in the rezoning?
Planner Spencer.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. There is no requirement for this property to be rezoned at this point in time, as it has been established as a legal non-conforming use that's been converted from the previous use of institutional.
Okay, and if I might ask, I'm not sure if this is in your field or not, are there any tax implications if it would be rezoned from institutional to residential?
If I may, Mr. Chair, the tax implications come when there's a building permit pulled for the property. So not necessarily with respect to answer the tax rate for this particular single detached dwelling unit. There will be a change in tax rates once the accessory structure is constructed, but those numbers are not in front of me at this time to give you a firm answer on that.
Thank you. I also have a question about the proposed garage. Is there any indication or communication regarding a secondary unit maybe being above or included as part of this proposed garage?
Planner Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, there is no indication that this is going to be anything at this point in time beyond an accessory structure, and additional approvals may or may not be required depending on the timing of an application, if that were the case, and at what quality of building permit they're looking for in terms of what renovations they would make on the property. But no information with respect to that component has been provided at this time.
Thank you very much, Planner Spencer. Thank you, Chair. That's all at this time.
Thank you. Any other members have any comments or questions at this time before we go to the 5.4.2 to the public? Okay, I don't see any. All right, we're going to go to 5.4.2. This is going to be the public portion. Supervisor Hewlett, please advise on how members of the public can participate in this, and if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the application at this time, or you've received any information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the public either wishing to speak in favor or against this application may do so in a variety of ways. The first would be raising their hand to verbally speak, either in favor or against. How you raise your hand is by pressing the raise your hand button, usually located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen if you have joined us using the online meeting software. Alternatively, if you have joined us over the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. The other option to make comment would be by sending a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor.
Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any members wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, thank you. Give that quick go. I don't see anyone on my screen as well. All right, so we'll go to, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak against or is opposed to this application? Again, Supervisor Hewlett, I'll refer to you because you've got the command or the control on that.
Similar as before, you would do so by raising your hand or sending a chat message to myself. At this time, Mr. Chair, I am not seeing anybody wishing to speak.
Thank you very much. All right, takes us to 5.5, which is the decision. So I'll be looking for a direction from the committee on which what they would like to do with this application. Member Herger?
Thank you very much, Chair. I would move for approval of minor variance application 04-2020 Murray.
Thank you. And are you seconding that, Member Hutchinson?
Yes, Member Hutchison seconds that motion.
Thank you. Clerk Sharber, could you read the motion so that before we call the vote, please?
Through you, Chair. The decision or the recommendation is that Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application number A04-2020 Murray. As the matters pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act have been satisfied, the proposal generally conforms with the County of Grey official plan. The proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement, and the proposal meets the 4 tests of the minor variance.
Thank you. So we will call the, call the question. All those in favor indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X, please. And I will start as chair. I, Member Tom Hutchinson, and in favor of this motion. Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Thank you. Member Herger, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Herger, yes.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you are voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. And Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you are voting.
Member Doug Hutchison, in favor.
Thank you. That motion is carried. Clerk Sharbeck, is there any next steps that we need to do with this one?
Through you, Chair, the next steps with this approval of the minor variance is there is a 20-day appeal period set out in the Planning Act for minor variances. When that appeal period is complete, then the applicant can proceed with the building permit process. And they're on their way. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move on to item number 6, and that is minor variance number A05-2020 cover -493815 Baptist Church Road, Priceville, Ontario. Go down to 6.2 to Planner Spencer's report, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. The subject lands are located on the east side of Baptist Church Road, south of the Baptist Church Road on and Concession 4. The property is municipally known as 493815 Baptist Church Road and legally known as Part Lot 11 in a registered plan 16R6956 Part 2 in the geographic township of Glenelg. The applicant has requested relief from the provisions of subsection 612A and B to permit the placement of an accessory structure in the front yard. Under the provisions of the Planning Act and review of Section 45 and the 4 tests of a minor variance, planning staff are satisfied that this application is acceptable and recommend approval. Comments were received from the County of Grey Planning and Development Department, in addition to the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, both of which are in support of the application. Therefore, the recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment receive the report from Planner Spencer, A05-2020, cover Gary, recommending that the Committee of Adjustment approve the application as the proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The general intent and purpose of the municipality's zoning bylaw is minor in nature and appropriate for the development of the subject lands. Nothing further.
Thank you very much. We're at 6.4. I see a couple of check marks with Member Shea and myself, which I will clear. Member Shea, did you have a comment or? Okay, thank you. We're at 6.4 verbal comments. 6.4.1 is the committee comments. Members of the committee, are there any questions or comments on this application? If so, just indicate with raising your hand, please. Member Hergert?
Thank you, Chair. Just regarding the Saugeen Valley Conservation Report, there were several typos, etc., maybe words missing. It looked almost as though it was a draft report. When it spoke to the ratio of trees being replanted, it didn't really clarify what that ratio was. Just for clarity for the applicant, I believe that we should ask Saugeen Valley Conservation for an updated report or a perfected report that would actually speak to the ratio of tree replantation on that property. I'm just noting that that report seemed like it was lacking in its official capacity, but beyond that, I have no issue with these items. Curious, one question to the planner, the distance setback, minimum distance setback requirement. As long as our planner is satisfied with that, I'd like to just hear a comment from her, please.
Planner Spencer?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I have no issues with respect to minimum distance separation issues with this particular proposal.
Thank you very much.
And Planner Spencer, you're satisfied, I know, with the paperwork or the information from SVCA at this time?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. It's not within the regulated area of the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, so a permit is not required from them in order to proceed to the building permit stage. We can respectfully request revised comments or clarification for the covers. However, I don't see anything glaringly, other than some obvious missed portions of the correspondence, that there's anything glaringly obvious that Saugeen Valley Conservation is concerned about with this project.
Thank you for your follow-up, Planner Spencer.
To that point, Chair, if I may, could we ask that the planner just get an update prior to the 20-day time period?
Planner Spencer?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you very much. I'm satisfied.
Anything further?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee wish to make a comment or have a question on this application at this time? Okay, I do not see any. I'm going to move it on to 6.4.2. This is members of the public comment portion. I'm going to turn it over to Supervisor Hewlett. Please advise if there's any members of the public that have sent correspondence in on this application, or if we have anybody virtually attending that would like to speak in favor of this application. Supervisor Hewlett?
Absolutely, and thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, members of the public wishing to speak either in favor or against this application may do so, as stated previously, but in two options, either raising their hand to verbally make correspondence or by sending a chat message to myself. If you have joined us on the computer to raise your hand, it's the raise your hand function located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you have joined us over the phone, *9 is what you would push to raise your hand.
Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any members wishing to speak.
Or am I just taking a roll through? Okay, well, thank you Supervisor Hewlett. We're at the portion now, if there's anybody in the public, members of the public that would like to speak in opposed to this application or against it, if you could please indicate so, or if you've received any correspondence there, Supervisor Hewlett.
At this time, Mr. Chair, I have not received any correspondence.
All right, I don't see anything else here either. That takes us to 6.5 is decision. What direction would the committee like to take with this application? Member Robinson?
Thank you, Chair Hutchinson. I will be moving the following, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application number A05 2020 Cover. And I do note that through the planner's report, that the application as the proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The general intent and purpose of West Grey's zoning bylaw is minor in nature. It meets the 4 tests, and it's appropriate for development of the subject lands. That is what I'm moving, Chair Hutchinson.
Thank you, Member Robinson. And Member Townsend, are you seconding this motion?
Member Townsend, yes, I'm seconding the motion.
Thank you. Clerk Sharbeck, do you have a motion prepared for this?
Through you, Chair. Moved by Member Robinson, seconded by Member Townsend, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application number A05-2020 Cover, as the matters pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act have been satisfied. The proposal generally conforms with the County of Grey official plan. The proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement. The proposal meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, and comments from all relevant authorities having jurisdiction were considered by the committee. No comments were received from the public.
Thank you. Call to question. All those in favor, excuse me, please indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X. And I will start as chair. I, Member Tom Hutchinson, and in favor of this motion. Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Okay, Member Herger, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Herger, yes.
Okay, Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Doug Hutchison, in favor.
Thank you. Motion carried. Clerk Sharbeck, what would be the next steps then?
Through you, Chair, the next steps for this minor variance application as well is to get through that 20-day appeal period, after which time, if no appeals have been received, the applicant is free to proceed with the building permit process. And that's it.
Thank you. Clear my check mark here. Okay, that takes us to item number 7. And that is consent to sever number B08-2020, Grind, Kaufman, and David, part lot 9, concession 18. 7.1 is application for the B08-2020. And we will go to 7.2, Planner Spencer's report, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this application is to sever a rural lot and retain a rural lot. The severed parcel is proposed to be approximately 3.6 hectares in size, and the retained parcel is proposed to be approximately 25.6 hectares in size. If approved, the newly created parcel would require a newly established entrance on the Normandy-Bentic town line. The subject property is located near the southwest corner of the Normandy-Bentic town line and 10th Side Road, SDR. The subject lands currently contain a single detached dwelling unit with identified hazard lands in the form of a managed forest on the subject lands. To determine whether or not this consent was consistent with provincial policy and County of Grey official plan and the municipality's zoning bylaw, comments were received from authorities having jurisdiction. Comments were received from the County of Grey, who recommended the application be refused. Comments were provided from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, who had no concerns with the application, but did note that there were significant features throughout the property. Comments were also received from the public, which have been included as part of the agenda package, which are not in support of the application. Comments were also received from Hydro One, which did not have any impact on the application. Based on the density requirements of the County of Grey official plan, the presence of identified aggregate on the subject land, there is a recommendation coming forward from staff that the Committee of Adjustment accept the report from Planner L. Spencer recommending that the application be denied as it does not conform with the County of Grey official plan, density policies within the rural designation, and does not conform to the policies identified under 5.4.2 concerning lot creation in identified aggregate resource areas. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Planner Spencer. We are at 7.4 verbal comments. So we'll go to 7.4.1, which is the committee members' comments. Members of the committee, are there any questions or comments on this application? Member Townsend, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Member Townsend. It's one of the comments made within the documentation was the number of severances that had already occurred. I wonder if, Madam Planner, you could actually clarify why the comment was there and what the restrictions are, just for the committee as well as any public listening.
Planner Spencer.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, the County of Grey official plan permits a certain lot density requirement with respect to the creation of new lots in rural areas, which is very different than those established as prime agricultural areas. And those consent and density provisions are based on the original municipal survey and not the property currently under ownership by a particular landowner. In the rural area, you are permitted to have a maximum of 3 severances. In this case, the original municipal survey has been severed multiple times and exceeds the density policies that are permitted under the official plan to allow for further lot creation.
Thank you very much for that clarification. A further question has to clarify. I believe that, I know it's got aggregate resources on the property, but I believe it also stated that the particular land in question does in fact sort of overlay part of that that area. Is that also correct?
Planner Spencer.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct, that most of the property in this particular case is being actively farmed, and that there are definitely identified aggregate areas on the property, although they're not being utilized for extraction at this moment in time by the current landowner.
Thank you. And but it is a requirement to keep them accessible for future use. Is that also not correct?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chair, absolutely. That is, the aggregate resources under the provincial policy statement and the county plan are to be protected for long-term future extraction.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all my comments or questions.
Thank you. Is there any other members of the committee that would have any questions or comments on this application at this time? Member Herger, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Quick question to our planner. The documentation that was provided in 2005 about the quality of the aggregate, is there any merit in updating that information or that that study?
Planner Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. The information that was provided on April 11th in 2005 does not preclude the fact that policies have significantly changed since that time period. So the provincial policy statement that's in place now for 2020 is one of the issues with respect to the identified aggregate on the property. But regardless of that point, there's still an issue with respect to the density requirements under the county official plan that are not satisfied.
Okay, so just that there's 2 points, but is there any merit, do you believe, to updating the aggregate information? The quality, the quantity, those type of things? Understanding that the density is still an issue.
If I may, Mr. Chair, that's at the discretion of the applicant. I would say there's little merit in updating that report at this time to put the applicant through that type of expense, requiring them to update that report to identify further aggregate. I don't feel there's merit to completing so, but that is at their discretion based on the density problems they also have with the official plan and the other number of natural heritage features that have been identified on the property by the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority.
Thank you very much, Chair and Planner. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments from any of the members at this time? Member Townsend, do you have your hand back up? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I did notice also that there was another resident of the area who had applied for a similar severance and was in a similar situation and in fact got declined. So I think we also have a precedent. And I just wanted to bring that to the attention of everyone in case not everybody saw it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from our members? Member Hutchinson, go ahead.
Yeah, Member Hutchison here. Just inquiring about the Conservation Authority comments under delegated responsibility and advisory comments. I think we picked up on this typo before where they make reference to the Municipality of Grey Highlands on page 66 of our agenda. I don't think that's supposed to be in there.
Good catch. We can get that updated.
Yeah, I think we found that before. So again, they're maybe reusing letters or something, but and I just had one other question with this, regarding this, and I'm just curious when it says about the severances, the number of severances have happened in the past. Would they not have followed the our county policies in the past or the official the ministry policies in terms of those severances? And if they haven't, then would they not sort of be legal non-conforming?
Planner Spencer.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, it is quite possible that there are many historical severances throughout the County of Grey that have been created prior to the Planning Act coming into force and effect, which effectively means that those lots were created through the registry office and not through a public process as they are now. However, that being said, the county policies are clear that it's based on the original municipal survey. There is no consideration for legal non-conforming when it comes to the density provisions related to consents. If they wanted to amend those provisions related or those policies related to consents, they'd have to have an official plan amendment, and it's highly unlikely that the county would support the application, and they may have an issue with respect to consistency with the PPS.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Member Hutchinson?
No, that's fine.
Okay. That takes us to 7.4.2, and this is the public portion. I'm going to turn the application over to the public at this time. Supervisor Hewlett, please advise if you have any members of the public that sent correspondence in on this application, or if you have them virtually attending that would like to speak in favor of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the public wishing to speak in favor of this application can do so by raising their hand, which I had stated before. You click the raise your hand function located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It is the blue icon. Alternatively, if you've joined us over the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. The other option is to send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor. At this time, Mr. Chair, I have not received any correspondence to resume.
Okay, thank you. I'm just doing a quick scroll through as well. We will go to any members of the public now that have sent correspondence in or on this application or on virtually that would like to speak in opposition or opposed to this application. Supervisor Hewlett.
As mentioned, you can do so by raising your hand or sending a chat message to myself. At this time, I am not seeing any member of the public wishing to make comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move along to 7.5 and it's decision of the committee. What direction would the committee like to take on this application? Member Townsend, go ahead, please.
Thank you. It's Member Townsend. I would like to move that we decline the application and leave the wording up to the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for this motion? Member Hergert?
Member Herger, I would like to second this motion.
Okay, thank you. Clerk Sharbuck, could you please read a motion that would be before us, please?
Thank you through you, Chair. I think Cody has just received a message from a member of the public that may want to speak.
Absolutely.
We do have a resolution on the floor. How would you like to proceed? I think it's important to deal with the resolution that's on the floor, but we may be able to come back and hear that comment if it's committee's wish.
Well, let's,
It's the applicant's agent, actually, if committee would like to hear from them prior to making the decision, although it's been moved and seconded.
so what would be the proper way to handle this then, Clerk Sharbuck? I'm going to refer to you for direction on this. We go through the motion and then go back for the comments?
Just one moment, Chair. I think with the electronic meetings, just to give the benefit of the doubt, even though it was late raising the hand, the committee may want to just table this motion until the comments from that agent are heard. And that would allow certainly a very fair and transparent process. After the decision is voted on, there may not be much sense in hearing the comments. So I would recommend that this motion just be tabled at this time and that the committee consider hearing the comments from the agent and then come back to the resolution.
Thank you for that information. I'm going to refer to the mover and the seconder on this, and just so that we'll keep that all in line there. So Member Townsend as the mover.
I agree with tabling so we can hear the comments.
Thank you. And Member Hergert, please.
Absolutely willing to table this motion at this time.
Okay, thank you. And just before we go to our guest, Member Hutchinson, did you have a comment? You have your hand up or? Okay, thank you. All right, Cody, we'll invite our guest in, please.
Oh, excuse me, Chair.
Oh,
Could we just vote on the tabling, the motion to table?
oh, I apologize.
The decision? Sorry, just.
Yeah, you're right.
If we
I
could do a
thought we were
quick
just
vote
gonna-
on that?
So we will, yes, we'll vote on tabling the motion for now until we get this public input. So those that are in favor, just indicate with a check mark, and opposed with an X, please. Good catch, clerk. Okay, I'll start. I as Chair, Member Tom Hutchinson, I'm in favor of this motion. Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Doug Hutchison in favor.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Herger, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Herger, yes.
Thank you. And Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Thank you. Motion carried. So the item is on the table or chaired for now, or I'm sorry, just it's on hold, and we're going to go to the public now, which I'll hand over to Cody. I see the hand up now. Supervisor Hewlett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At your request, I did receive a chat message from the name listed on Zoom as Glenn David, who I believe is the applicant's agent. I can unmute them at your request as well. Now looking at the dashboard, I am seeing a second member who may like to comment who has phoned in.
Yes, please.
Okay, Glenn David is unmuted. If they could just state their name for the record and their comment.
Hi, it's Glenn David speaking. And
Welcome, Mr. David. How are you today?
I am good. Thank you for reversing your motion there. I was late getting the chat message sent.
Well, you're more than welcome. The floor is yours, Mr. David.
A couple of comments. Anything to do with the aggregate, that property has a rehabilitated pit that was closed by Dean Grind. So there is no aggregate of any amount left on that property. And the other comment about the density allowing 3 severances, I own the farm directly to the south of this property. And if there were 3 severances, one had to be back when the settlers were here in the whatever 1800s, because I knew the owner, previous owner of my land, and his father was there, and that was not in the past 150 years. So I don't think the density is any issue as far as history on the property. There was a 1.5 or 2 acre parcel taken off of the west corner, and I believe that's been the only one in many, many years. So I don't think that should apply to this. And all the owner wants to do is in the future build a retirement home and create a lot of tax revenue for West Grey, and not even be near any of the conservation area, wetland or anything. It would be close to the road on a hill. So I think the West Grey would be missing out on a lot of tax money, and that road is fairly heavy populated with housing anyway. Anyone that's drove by can see all of the severances that have been taken off of there. And I'm totally in favor of improving West Grey and helping out the tax base. So I think things should be reconsidered or looked into farther. I think that's about all I have to comment.
Thank you. I just Planner Spencer, do you have any follow-up to this?
Yes, thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair. The policies are very clear with respect to the density. Again, it goes back to the original municipal survey and not actions that have been taken by current landowners. It's consistently applied throughout the county in the same manner. And in this belief, my recommendation for refusal of the application stands, in addition to the recommendation in support with the county planner of the same position.
Thank you, Planner Spencer. Do you have any further comments there, Mr. David?
Well, other than I don't agree with that, I think looking at today's standards, I don't see a problem with the severance whatsoever, but, and the density issue, how many years do you go back? Is my question, because that hasn't been severed for years and years. And if 3 severances are allowed, this, to me, in my opinion, would only be the 3rd one.
Planner Spencer, do you have a response to this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I previously stated, it is based on the original municipal survey. It's not a number of time period. It's the original municipal survey that created the original lot.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. David?
No, I think I'll leave it up to West Grey Council instead of Grey County, basically.
Okay, thank you for your time. And Supervisor Hewlett, did you say we had one more that wanted to speak?
If I may, Mr. Chair, yes, I believe we have a member who has called in who has their hand raised. I would assume that it would be for a comment.
Okay. You could get them onto the virtual system here, that'd be great.
The last 3 digits of the phone number are 375. You may be receiving a prompt to be unmuted if you would like to state your name and your comment for the record.
You see the hand up, Supervisor Hewlett, but
To the caller who has their hand raised, I believe it is *6 to unmute yourself.
maybe Supervisor Hewlett, just could you give them another option how to get in? Just in case they've been disconnected.
The other option for the caller to log in would be doing through the online meeting software, in which they would go to zoom.us and click join meeting, to which they would enter the code 85652154785. Alternatively, if this member who has called in would not like to speak, I would request that they lower their hand by pressing *9 again.
So Supervisor, is this a phone in then, Supervisor Hewlett? Because I see the phone looks like it's just got the extra. Does that mean it's disconnected? Or is that on the audio?
So when you see the cross through the phone icon, I'll say that just means that they're muted.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to refer to the clerk. Where would you like to go from here, clerk? Do we move ahead with the technical difficulty?
Okay, through you, Chair. Mr. Hewlett is requesting that the member, he's trying to unmute from this end, which sends a prompt to the telephone.
Right.
So I would ask that the member of the public, if your phone number ends in 375 and you would like to speak and have pressed *9, you need to follow the commands to unmute your phone. I believe it's pressing *6 on your phone to unmute. If you press *9, you will put your hand down if you do not wish to speak. So again, if you're phoning in, if you'd like to speak, and your phone number ends in the numbers 375, hit *6 on your phone, please. And that will unmute your phone and you'll be allowed to participate in the meeting.
So I'm not seeing anything coming through. Supervisor Hewlett? We've got quite a few other items here, so I certainly don't want to disconnect a public member, but
If I may, Mr. Chair, we have essentially exhausted every option that we can give this member of the public to participate. I have a feeling that they may have stepped away from the phone or maybe preoccupied with something else to the point where they're not hearing the prompts. I would assume that possibly they've raised their hand in error. So I would say procedurally, we can move on.
okay, well, thank you. And thank you, Clerk Sharbeck, for assisting with that.
Through you, Chair, if it's your wish and the committee's wish to proceed and return to that decision resolution, this member of the public, we can offer an opportunity to submit written comments as well that can be shared and be included in part of the record, and they can be added to the public registry to receive any information about the application. So that would certainly allow them to proceed with an appeal if they so wished. If they wanted to appeal the committee's decision, they will still have rights following your decision.
Oh, great, thank you.
Does that help?
Absolutely, it helps me, that's for sure. Well,
Okay.
we're gonna move ahead because there's some technical difficulty here, and we have, I think we've exhausted. And I see the hands now disappeared. So we do have a motion that was tabled, and that was moved by Member Townsend, seconded by Member Hergert. We're back to that now. We're gonna call that now, Clerk Sharbeck.
Yes, through you, Chair. If we could have a motion to bring forth from the table the decision resolution, then we'll get to the decision. We just need that first. So a mover and seconder to bring back
Right.
to the floor.
So Member Townsend as the mover.
Yes, I would agree with bringing it back.
Okay, thank you. And Member Hergert, please.
I also concur and wish for the motion to be brought back. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, those that are in favor of having the motion brought back, indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X, please. And I will start. Member Tom Hutchinson, am in favor of this motion. Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Doug Hutchison, in favor.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Hergert, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Hergert, yes.
Thank you. And Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Okay. That takes us back to the motion that we had on the table. And I think I'm just going to refer to Clerk Sharbeck just to read that so we're clear on what we're voting on here, please.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Chair. The resolution reads that the Committee of Adjustment hereby denies consent application number B08-2020 as the matters pursuant to Section 53 of the Planning Act have not been satisfied. The application is not consistent with provincial policy statement. The application does not conform with the County of Grey official plan. Comments from the County of Grey recommend refusal of the application, and comments received from agencies and members of the public have been taken into consideration.
Thank you. So we have a motion before it. I'm going to call the question. Those in favor, please indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X, please. So I'll start. I, as chair, Tom Hutchinson, am in favor of the motion. Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Thank you. Member Herger, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Herger, yes.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. And Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Doug Hutchison, in favor.
Thank you. Motion carried. Clerk Scharbeck, what would be the next steps?
To your chair. The next steps for the applicant may proceed with appealing the decision of the committee, and that appeal is through LPAT, our local planning appeal tribunal. Another option they may want to investigate is the possibility of a zoning amendment that would allow two houses on one property. So at this point in time, those are the next steps available to the appellant or to the applicant.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dashboards are clear. Member Robinson, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to advise the members of Committee of Adjustment, as well as those citizens listening in, that we do have a scheduled Committee of the Whole planning. It was identified on the agenda to start at 1:30 p.m. today, but certainly it would follow after this Committee of Adjustment meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that update. All right, we are at item number 8, the consent to sever number B09-2020, Can Do Homes -401-248 Gray Road, Gray Road 4, I apologize, application number B09-2020 Can Do Homes. Planner Spencer, please.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. The subject lands are located near the southeast corner of Gray Road 4 and 24th Avenue. A single detached dwelling unit and commercial business currently exist on the subject lands. The applicant intends to separate the existing single detached dwelling unit from the commercial business through the consent process. The proposed residential lot would be approximately 0.2 hectares, 0.4 acres in size. The severed commercial lands are proposed to be approximately 0.35 hectares, 0.9 acres in size. Both the severed and retained parcels currently have existing entrances on Gray Road 4. However, further consultation with the County of Gray Transportation Department has been requested as part of this review process, and they have advised that additional entrance permits for any improvements to those entrances would be required if approved. In order to assess the merits of this application, planning staff reviewed consistency with the PPS, the County of Gray official plan, and the Municipality of West Grey zoning bylaw. In addressing the zoning bylaw issues, there are some requirements that would need to be addressed if approved through a site-specific amendment to the municipality's zoning bylaw. Planning staff appreciate that this application is for the basis of creating a new line and not necessarily development to create a new building lot, as both of these buildings exist. However, at this point in time, from a policy perspective, recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment receive Planner L. Spencer's report where an application B09-2020 is recommended for refusal for the following reasons. The proposal is not consistent with the provincial policy statement as it would create a lot in a prime agricultural designation. The proposal does not maintain the general intent and purpose of the county official plan based on the agricultural designation and minimum lot sizes. However, in the event committee chooses to provide provisional consent, the following conditions should be applied. The payment of any outstanding municipal taxes, if any, the passage of the zoning bylaw amendment, payment of the zoning bylaw amendment fee, and the confirmation of private services and their ability to serve the single detached dwelling unit on the property. Comments were also received from the County of Grey Planning and Development Department, who do not support the application for the same policy reasons as previously stated. Comments were also provided from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, who have no concerns with the application and considered to be acceptable to staff. Comments were also received from Hydro One, who have no concerns and there's no impact on the application as a result. No comments from the public were received with respect to this application. And I have nothing further.
Thank you, Planner Spencer. We're at 8.4, the verbal comments, and we will be doing the committee comments first. Members of the committee, are there any questions or comments on this application? And Member Townsend, go ahead.
Thank you, Member Townsend. I guess I just wanted to point out that in the planner's report, there are a few acknowledgements that are tending me to actually support the application. For example, it talks about that while it's creating a new lot, these two pieces of property, if you will, have been used not as agricultural, but as business and residential. And they've done that for a long, long time. And there's a few such comments that support that acknowledgement, and also that there's been no impact, and there will continue to be no impact on agricultural lands. And also the technicality here is just separating them to be used in the way that they already have. So I guess as long as there was no intent to expand the use or change the use of those two properties, then I don't see why the committee would not approve it at this time. But I just thought I would point that out in case others had not seen that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Townsend. Is there any other committee members that would have any questions or comments at this time? And maybe I'm going to refer to Planner Spencer just for follow-up to what Member Townsend was just speaking about. If you could just respond to that a little bit for me, please. I'm for my own curiosity as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. From a pure policy perspective, through the PPS and the county official plan, what is being proposed is the creation of a new lot. However, from a practical perspective, it is the creation of a new lot line and not the creation of a new building lot. The other consideration that this committee needs to consider is that this is within the 500-meter radius outside of defined settlement area of Hanover, in which the official plan also restricts development within that 500 meters. However, from a practical perspective, I don't see any major planning issues that are going to create issues with respect to the continued use of the property in the form that it is right now.
Thank you, Planner Spencer. You have a follow-up, Member Townsend.
Yes, Member Townsend, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I do. Is the sort of buffer of the 500 meters, is that something that would be of a concern to the town of Hanover or the county? And if it was, I assume either one could come back and appeal the decision. Is that correct?
Planner Spencer?
Yes, and thank you through you, Mr. Chair. That is correct. That there is the 20-day appeal period, and the 500-meter radius outside of defined settlement areas, especially primary settlement areas, is to avoid a leapfrog development that occurs outside of serviced areas and on the fringe of an identified urban boundary. In order for that kind of development to happen, technically you'd have to go through a comprehensive review process as part of your official plan, which the municipality doesn't have the growth projections to do at this point in time. Yes, Member Townsend, you are correct that yes, there is also a possibility of appeal in this application, but I do think from a practical perspective, there is some merit.
Thank you.
Any follow-up there, Member Townsend?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee have any comments or questions? Member Hergert, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm just looking to our planner for a comment on servicing of the property.
Planner Spencer?
If I may, thank you, Mr. Chair. The servicing of the property, one of the components of the county official plan is to verify that appropriate services exist on the property. If any or all part of those services need to be on private services. So that's simply that we need some sort of verification to ensure that there's sufficient depth in any water service or sewer service or private septic systems that do exist on the property, and verification of how exactly that building will be serviced as a single-family detached dwelling unit without access to full services.
Thank you.
And if I may continue, Planner Spencer, and at this time, there's been no investigation of that. Is that correct?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chair. Yes, that is correct. There's no investigation of that at this point in time. However, the dwelling unit is occupied, and I suspect that fulfilling that condition of consent, if approved by this committee, is not going to be significant.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you both. Any other members of the committee have any comments before we go to the 8.4.2, which is the members of the public portion? Seeing none, I'm going to move on then. I will turn the application to the public. Supervisor Hewlett, please advise if there's any members of the public that had sent any correspondence in on this application, or if we have anybody virtually attending who wishes to speak. I do see one hand on my dashboard.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the public wishing to speak in favor of this application can do so by raising their hand, which over the computer is located in the bottom right-hand corner of their screen. Alternatively, if they have joined us over the phone, they can raise their hand by pressing *9. As well, there is always the option to send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor. At this time, Mr. Chair, I am seeing one member of the public wishing to speak in favor, and that is Can Do Home, so I can unmute at your request to state their name and comment.
Thank you. Yes, please proceed.
Hello, it's Don Trumbull speaking here.
Welcome, Mr. Trumbull.
Couple of things, commenting on the services. There's a well on the property. We will bring everything up to today's standards because I don't feel the septic system on the property is today's standards. So they'll be changed and brought up to today's standards. The dwelling is in bad need of repair. It's an eyesore. So that will be dealt with. We've cleaned it up a lot. We've hauled loads of garbage out of there already. We have two interested businesses that are interested in the property, and two separate. So I would probably be tearing the house down and building a new building on there that would meet all zoning requirements. And I just think obviously I'm in the business of building, but I'm also in the business of making West Grey a better place. So two prime, or it's C3 zoning. I think it's prime land to have a couple of businesses, especially when we're in West Grey, not Hanover. So that's my reasoning for this. And at the end of the day, I think it'll create more tax dollars and again, add to making West Grey a place you want to do business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trumbull. I'm going to refer to our planner, Spencer, just to respond to that. Or any portions of it, please.
And if I may, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, from a policy perspective, the creation of lots outside of identified settlement areas that's close to the settlement area boundary isn't supported. Again, however, from a practical perspective, I can understand the rationale of submitting the application, but beyond that, I have no further comment on the application at this time.
Thank you, Planner Spencer. Any follow-up there, Mr. Trumbull? Anything to add to it?
No, just thanks for the time.
Thank you. Supervisor Hewlett, do we have any other members of the public that would like to speak in favor of this virtually or correspondence?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any members of the public wishing, or any further members of the public wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, thank you. So we will go to the portion of the public. Have you received any correspondence with anybody that's opposed to this application, or anybody would like to speak virtually in opposition?
I have not received any correspondence similar to speaking in favor. It is the exact same process by either raising your hand or sending a chat message to myself.
Thank you, Supervisor Hewitt. I'm just going to give this one more go through because I don't see anybody. That will take us to 8.5, and it's the decision of the committee. So I'll be looking for a direction from the committee on what they would like to do with this application. Member Hergert?
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to move approval of B09 2020.
Okay, so we have a mover. Is there a seconder? Member Shea, are you seconding this motion?
Jeffrey Shea, I second the motion.
Okay. Clerk Sharbeck, could you please read the motions before us, please?
Yes, through you, Chair. The recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves consent application number B09-2020 with the following conditions: that there is payment of outstanding taxes, if any, that there is payment of a zoning bylaw amendment fee and a zoning bylaw amendment, and confirmation that the appropriate private services are on site for the single detached dwelling unit, and payment of the parkland dedication fee. And that's it. So just the conditions that were set out in the planner's report.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor, and we're going to call the motion. Those in favor indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X mark. And I will start. I, Member Tom Hutchinson, am in favor of the motion. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you are voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Herger, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Hergert, yes.
And Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Thank you. Motion carried. Clerk Sharbeck, what would be the next steps, please, before we move on to item 9?
Thank you, Chair. The next steps, as well with this application, there is the 20-day appeal period in the Planning Act. That needs to be, we need to get through that without an appeal to make this final. During that time, an application for a zoning amendment may be submitted or afterwards. The zoning bylaw will need to be passed after the appeal period is completed. And as well, the applicant will need to address the, not just the zoning bylaw amendment application and fee, but also the parkland dedication fee, and just confirm those services. So just a few little tidy up pieces with the conditions set out in the decision. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, we're on to item number 9, consent to sever number B10 2020, DJ Land Developments Limited, 642 Sadler Street East in Durham, 9.1 application B10 2020 DJ Land Developments Limited. Planner Spencer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject lands are located on the north side of Sadler Street East in the town of Durham. The subject lands are designated as a primary settlement area within the County of Grey official plan and the Municipality of West Grey official plan. The purpose of this application is to sever a portion of the subject lands to merge with the lands directly east in the form of a lot addition, the effect of which will result in a boundary adjustment in keeping with the adjacent lot fabric. In order to assess the merits of this application, planning staff reviewed the PPS, the County of Grey official plan, and the municipality's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Staff are satisfied that provided the lands merge as a condition of consent, there are no concerns with respect to the application at hand. The Municipality of West Grey Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw also permits what has been provided by the applicant through their measurements meets the provisions of the actual zoning bylaw, and a zoning bylaw amendment will not be required. Comments were received from the County of Grey Planning and Development Department. They were in support of the application. Comments were also received from Saugeen Valley Conservation, who had no concerns with respect to the application, and comments were received from Hydro One, which had no bearing on the application and the merits of the application. No comments were received from the public, and planning staff have nothing further at this time.
Thank you, Planner Spencer. We're at 9.4, the verbal comments, committee comments. Member of the committee, members, I apologize, of the committee, is there any questions or comments on this application? If so, just please raise your hand. Member Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to comment that it, again, is a beneficial move on behalf of the applicant, and will allow for even further development in the area. So looking forward to it moving forward.
Thank you, Member Townsend. Any other members of the committee would have any comments or questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on then to 9.4.2, which would be member of the public. This would be the public comments. Supervisor Hewlett, please advise if we have any members of the public that have sent correspondence in on this application, or if you have anybody virtually attending that wish to speak in favor of this application. And I do see one hand up at this from my side, so.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar to before, as stated, to participate, you can do so by raising your hand, which I have outlined previous as well. You can send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor. At this time, Mr. Chair, I am seeing Candu Homes, which I believe is Donnie Trumbull, wishing to speak again.
Yes, please invite Mr. Trumbull in.
Hello?
Welcome again there, Mr. Trumbull.
Yeah, again, thank you for looking at this. Getting on the agenda twice in one day is quite an honor. And if you see my map, just kind of for my future development there, I just felt that this little strip would cause more headaches to everybody in the future. And I have sold the house off of the property, and they had this have no value to them. So it's not going to do any value to us. It's just going to make one less hurdle in the future when we do the development in there. So that's my reasoning for it. There's no hidden agenda, but just to clean it up. I don't know why it was ever done like that, but just to clean everything up to make it a little bit more understanding in the future.
Thank you for your time and speaking to the matter. Planner Spencer, you have anything to add, or are you good with this right now?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing further to add. I do believe there's merit to the application, which will align the adjacent lot fabric very decently for future development.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Trumbull, do you have any additional comments?
No, thank you again for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the back to Supervisor Hewlett to see if there's anybody in the public that has sent correspondence in on this application or is virtually attending that is going to speak or is opposed to this application. Supervisor Hewlett.
Again, as mentioned before, members of the public wishing to speak in opposition to this application can do so by raising their hand, and similar as I have outlined previous in the meeting. Alternatively, they can also send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor. At this time, Mr. Chair, I am not seeing any members of the public wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing anyone from here as well. We're going to move on to 9.5. That's the decision. So look at what direction would the committee like to take with this application? Member Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves consent application number B10 2020 with conditions set out in the decision sheet and certainly in support of Planner Spencer's report, which identifies those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Robinson. Member Hergert, are you seconding this motion?
Member Hergert, yes.
Thank you. And to stay consistent, I know the Mayor Robinson or Member Robinson has laid it out pretty good. I am going to refer to the Clerk Sharbeck just to read the motion for us, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The recommendation moved by Member Robinson and seconded by Member Hergert is that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves consent application B10-2020 with the following conditions: that payment of outstanding taxes be made, if any, confirmation that the severed lands merge with the adjacent lands in the form of a lot addition, and payment of the parkland dedication fee.
Thank you, Clerk Sharbeck. So we have a motion before us. I'm going to call it. Those, excuse me, those in favor, please indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X mark. And I will start as chair. I, Member Tom Hutchinson, and am in favor of this motion. Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Thank you. Member Hergert, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Hergert, yes.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. And Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Motion carried. Clerk Sharbeck, what would be the next steps, please?
Through you, Chair, the next steps for the applicant is, once again, get through that 20-day appeal period that's provided for in the Planning Act and fulfill those conditions as set out in the decision sheet. So just to check on the taxes are up to date and confirm that the severed lands will merge with the adjacent lands and the parkland dedication fee. So just a couple of very easy steps for the applicant and the 20-day appeal period, and that's it.
Thank you very much for the follow-up. All right, it takes us to item number 10. I have not seen a date, and that's the next meeting. Clerk Sharbeck, is there a date that we have yet, or is that going to be posted at a later time?
Through you, Chair, we don't have a meeting set at this point in time. I think the next meeting will be December 8th, but we'll confirm that on the website and with an email to all committee members. We can say the next meeting date is tentatively December 8th. And I'm just wondering if we could do, if the committee would consider, oh, sorry, that's it. Just the adjournment is next, and that's up to you, Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Hilliard. I got muted there somehow. All right, we're at item number 11. That would be adjournment. Can I please get a mover to adjourn? And Member Hutchinson, you're moving this motion?
Member Doug Hutchison moves to adjourn.
And Member Shea, are you seconding this motion?
Jeffrey Shea, I second the motion.
Thank you. Clerk Sharbeck, could you please read the motion for us?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, the recommendation moved by Member Hutchinson and seconded by Member Shea is that the Committee of Adjustment hereby adjourns at 2:30 p.m.
Thank you. As chair, I, Member Tom Hutchinson, am in favor of this motion. I'm sorry, those in favor indicate with a check mark, those opposed with an X. I apologize. As chair, I, Member Tom Hutchinson, am in favor of this motion. Member Hutchinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Doug Hutchison, in favor.
Thank you. Member Robinson, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Christine Robinson, in favor.
Thank you. Member Shea, please state your name and how you're voting.
Jeffrey Shea, yes.
Thank you. Member Hergert, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Hergert, yes.
Thank you. And Member Townsend, please state your name and how you're voting.
Member Townsend, in favor.
Thank you. The motion has carried. And just to make sure that everybody stays online, because we are going right into planning after this, but we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair Hutchinson. I would like to mention to everybody that we will be going into the Committee of the Whole Planning meeting, but I'm going to suggest that our start time be 2:40. That just gives a bit of a break, but I would very much appreciate if all members of council sitting in committee would be here at 2:40 sharp, and we will begin the Committee of the Whole Planning meeting at that time. Thank you.